Hi everybody and welcome to another late night stream of UBOAT, the game where we slip into the role of a German submarine commander in this beautiful and pretty realistic deep dive open world. Hey, weight loss, nice to have you in. Good evening. So let's start this session with this beautiful sunset that we have. We remember that we just ended this one here last stream, when we detected a radar contact, and it soon turned out that it was a convoy. Yeah, but let me first give a little bit of a summary where we are. So, as I said, simulating a German submarine in Second World War, and the game kind of beautifully simulates your role as a captain, where you're not just pushing buttons, keys on your keyboard, and some anonymous machine reacts up and down, left and right, and fire, but you actually have your crew simulated in detail. And whenever you give an order, you don't give it to the machine, but you give it to the crew, and the crew starts to operate on your submarine. And this gives, in my opinion, the most beautiful immersion that we ever had in any submarine simulation. Maybe I would even venture to say in any simulation that I ever played. You see, I'm a bit enthusiastic about the game still after all these years. I just love it. Of course, well, while we are chatting again and again, we find some drawbacks and things that might be better. But if you look at the game how it is right now, it's just great. So, let me show you where we are. At the moment, we are doing the last stand mission. We are end of April 44, which means we are already 4.5 years into the war. And I'm streaming mission by mission. I started at the very beginning of the war back in 1939, when we were just a tiny captain of a tiny Type 2 submarine. And we started to cast off from Wilhelmshaven in the North Sea, and later in the closer vicinity of the Atlantic. And then step by step we earned our merits, were finally granted command of a Type 7, joined the flotilla of the port of La Rochelle, which actually opened up large parts of the Atlantic, did missions there, and finally we got granted access to the so-called milk cows, kind of mobile gas stations and restock stations, submarines, large bulky submarines, which lay hidden in the middle of the Atlantic, and we can actually restock there. And this allowed us to finally reach these operational grounds on the other side of the big pond here and there. We did these missions successfully as well, went back, transferred to the flotilla of Bergen, and did the Arctic Convoys mission set, which I would say is maybe the hardest one. Well, actually the hardest one I would say is the Norwegian campaign, but to me that doesn't feel... actually I hated that campaign, and you see this is the only one that I didn't finish. So of all the campaigns, the good ones, so excluding the Norwegian campaign, Arctic Convoys I think was the most difficult one. After having mastered that challenge, we passed through the Strait of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean, joined the flotilla of La Spezia, and finished this Battle of the Mediterranean mission set, and went back to the port of La Rochelle, and this is where we are right now, doing the last stand mission set. We are at almost 80,000 tons, so on our return we get granted this first level, and we are already more than half through the second as well. So this patrol that we are on, that was a big success, although all the tonnage we sank before we actually reached the patrol area, which means we have 0 of the tonnage being accounted for this particular mission, but we have all the tonnage nevertheless being accounted for the overall last stand mission. So at the moment I'm just trying to finish this part of the mission, travel 1200 miles inside the marked area, and when we're finished with that I'm fine. Then we're gonna make it round the Hoorn and get back home. I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah, the point is we are completely out of ammo. No 4 torpedoes, nothing in the external storage, no stern torpedoes, and we are also out of ammo for the deck gun. We just have a few rounds left for the flag gun. So there is really no point in going for that convoy that we just spotted. Like here, if we look at Mr. Hinrich at the hydrophone, there is a convoy not too far away. But hey, come on, we're gonna avoid it. Let's just turn around. Yeah, let's rig the snorkel just to make sure that they don't spot us. I want to stay submerged for a little while further. There we go. Yeah, but I think at the moment somehow you always have to have one task free. This one is said to be empty, but I don't have it available by default of my difficulty settings. By the way, talking about difficulty settings, I'm playing at almost maximum difficulty, and so there is no other way than using a free research slot here, right? To transfer or reposition actually a milk cow. So I think I'm fine with it. I would just finish the mission in terms of the sailed mileage, and then let's just get back home and go for the next mission. There wouldn't be any debuff if we wouldn't have sunk the 7,000 tons. And yeah, we are fine in reputation, we are fine in budget, so that's all right.
Schraubengeräusche, große Gruppe, Peilung 225 Grad.
Yeah, except for HQ. For them, it makes a difference. They would like to have me the 7,000 tons, but, well, look at it. I have sunk far more than 7,000 tons in this mission. But I did sink them here and not there. Yeah, and let me phrase it like that. If HQ is not happy with that, they can show the orders, yeah, wherever they like to have it most. Yes. Let's carry on. Now it's just a matter of time to finally have finished this mission, get back home and harvest the reward. I need to tune up the sound a bit. I mean, just for me, I hope the sound in the stream is alright, because I have just my standard settings and usually that should be fine. If not, if there is any trouble with the sound or the balance between my voice and the game sounds or whatever, please complain, or I would not recognize it.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Is it? So when the maximum difficulty level would be when you would put it to full auto, right? Yep. So that's the two things. Maybe then I have manual only would be the highest difficulty level. If you ask me, the game is easier when you do it manually only, because then you can progress much faster, because usually in the game you are accumulating fame and reputation so fast that you can manually develop technologies much earlier than they would be available from history point of view. So that would be my estimation, that if you do it manually, that the game becomes easier than as if you would have it auto, which means that you have a lot of technology much later available in the game. Yeah, okay, I see what. Yeah, I'm so deep into this long-term playthrough now that I don't have it on the screen anymore, how hard it was in the very beginning. You're right. This is actually one drawback of the game, that some of the game mechanics are hard in the beginning, but, well, just after being 1 year into the war, some things become a little bit too easy. Or, well, other things like officers are fully leveled up relatively early. I have good fun in the game anyway, but there could be done some balancing actually. Yeah, weight loss, you're right, but I mean in mid-game, I would say it turns around. In mid-game it becomes easier if you have it manually. Hey, Lagarowski, nice to have you in again. How are you doing? Hope you had a good Friday. I hope you smoothly slipped into the weekend. Yeah. Early research is expensive. But I mean, remember this stream here. I mean, this playthrough, this campaign that we are doing here together in this stream. I think at one point we saw that the technologies that we had available were available much earlier than they would have been available on a historical basis. Yeah, I just do the Naval Academy for, well, I have researched just anything, so the Naval Academy is almost the only thing that I can do. Yeah, okay, I could do some reconnaissance, but yeah, yep. You're right. That's the point. Yep. Completely correct. So now you get it to the point. I should have it open for the milk cows so that I can actually access them. I think I'm gonna do that from now on. You're completely right here. If we look at the crew, I have loads of officers leveled up. Well, I wouldn't say loads, but a few. So you're right, no point in actually blocking the slot. Yes. Yeah, that's somehow correct. Yep. Good point. Yeah, Lagorovsky. So, hope you're fine.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
How far away? Pretty far away. Come on, let's get back to the surface.
Anblasen. Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Here again we see Mr. Schultz, how he is actually opening the valves of the compressed air to push the water out of the ballast tanks.
Peilung 215 Grad.
Yeah, they should be pretty far away. So please retract the snorkel. Your message got flooded, okay. Yeah, same for me. I'm gonna have a relaxed weekend. Yep. Definitely. So, I think I'm not gonna work. Yeah, the last months it was different. Usually I had to do some work at the weekend as well, but at the moment I think I can afford to be just lazy over the weekend. Now on we go.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Navigation besetzen.
Okay, radio transmission, what does it say? Wow, a single unit. Alright. Let's give this a mark. If it's a single unit, maybe we could try to track it down. At least give it a mark. Call it S for single.
Kurs setzen.
Ja,
And
kümmere mich darum.
let's see if we can actually track how it's gonna move on. Maybe I would prefer to go flank speed
Diese besetzen.
towards that potential target. Yeah, well, it's like sometimes my workload is a bit too much over the week, Monday to Friday. Or sometimes it's, yeah, I'm flexible on the other hand. Sometimes it's like I just call it a day early, so I like stop working on a Friday at 2 o'clock and relax. But then it, yeah, it occasionally happens that this means that I have to do some work over the weekend. So if I would stuff everything into the week, I would be completely free at the weekend. It's, yeah, just my own kind of time management.
Jawohl. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Jawohl, ich kümmere mich darum.
Okay, now we lost the signal. Oh shit, we lost the signal. Well, if that's how it
Kurs
is.
setzen.
Herr Kaloy?
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Natürlich, Herr Kaloy.
Navigation besetzen.
Herr Kaloy. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Kurs setzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Herr Kaloy? Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Kurs setzen.
Alright, let's give it a save here. We didn't save since we started the new stream.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Wird erledigt.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Jawohl.
Yeah, at the moment I'm just trying to finish the patrol formally.
Kurs setzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Navigation besetzen.
Okay, radio transmissions, whatever that is.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Gut gemacht, Männer. Unsere Unternehmung ist beendet.
Okay, patrol completed. Let's radio that to the headquarters and then head back home. So, Mr. Strauss,
Raum besetzen.
please man the radio room. And we are going to go back to La Rochelle.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Funktelegramm gesendet. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Yeah, we can go flank speed. Bit unrealistic, but I just want to get the boat back home.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloy.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Herr Kaloy? Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Herr Kapitän? Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 345 Grad.
Okay, that's somewhere there. And of course, this might be airplanes. Might be planes. Let's give it a save.
Auf Seerohrtiefe.
You mean these ones here? All the dots on the map? Yeah, on my difficulty level that I play, I have turned off the feature that enemy ships are automatically marked on the map, so I have to mark all my contacts manually and track their courses and everything, which, yeah, gives me some additional immersion. I pretty much love that. But of course, it's a matter of taste whether you want to play the game like that. If you tune that difficulty level down, you would have
Wir sind auf Seerohrtiefe.
the enemy contacts just being marked on the map.
Wechseln.
So this is a bit, yeah, to me it feels a bit more like having a realistic fog of war and uncertainty, and really have to figure out courses and things like that. Extrapolate courses out of several hydrophone contacts. So this is one of my standard approaches when I have a hydrophone contact far away. I get back to the surface, head for it for 1 hour, and then dive and do a next hydrophone check. And then you get 2 data points on the map and just measure the distance in between and how far it did travel, which would give you the speed and of course the direction. Yeah, not quite, but pretty close. It's 97% of difficulty level. So I think the only 2 difficulty settings that I tuned down is the one that we just discussed with weight loss. About doing the research manually or partly automatic, And the other one is that you can choose the damage done by depth charges. You can switch between low, medium and high,
Großer Konvoi.
and
Heilung
I did put it to medium. Of course, this is an important setting, and yeah, to me it seems to be that if you play on high, then the depth charges are just so deadly. And even the developers have a comment on that one in the mouse over, and they actually recommend that one should better do it in the medium. And that's what I do. But yeah, all the other difficulty levels I have tuned up to max, so finally I end up with 97, I think, is my overall difficulty level. Now let's see.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloin?
Okay, it is ships again, no planes. So at that point, $16 miles.
Kurs setzen.
Shall we go with the snorkel to avoid being detected by their radar? Hey, this is a bug that can't be that their bearing is changing so fast. Not possible. However, what I actually wanted to do was rigging the snorkel. There we go. With the snorkel we can use the diesel in this periscope depth state, which means that we can actually stay submerged for a very long time.
Schraubengeräusche. Großer Konvoi. Heilung 285 Grad.
Not in this playthrough here, but in a previous one I did sing a battleship. I mean, gameplay wise it is not that valuable because your job is not to sink men of war but traders, but nevertheless I was a bit proud. I mean, it was not that stationary battleship in the Scapa Flow mission, but it was one that I ran into which was on the move in the open sea. And for example, up to now I never sank an aircraft carrier. Shall we mark their position there? Moving at low speed would be good prey, but yeah, as we saw, we don't have any torpedoes left, or just anything.
Herr Kapitän?
They are actually coming towards us. That's kind of suspicious. Let's hope that it's not a task force. Yeah, but no, it can't be a military task force with something like 20 to 40 ships. So it is coincidence.
Schraubengeräusche. Kriegsschiffe. Kleine Gruppe. Heilung 270 Grad.
Okay, there is already smoke on the horizon, but I don't think that they have any chance to spot us on the distance. Of course not visually, and probably also not via radar. We have such a small radar cross-section with just The periscope and the snorkel poking out of the water. Yeah. Yep. Do they actually have that heated in the game, that in this period you run into troop transport convoys? Yeah, as you know, I never went so far into the game up to now. They're just moving a weird direction. At the moment it looks a bit like they're moving south. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would just wonder if they have it in the game mechanics that you run in this time period, that you run into them with higher probability, because actually up to now I think I never ran into any troop transports.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
And this is maybe because they only become available right now, right?
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Ah, okay, yeah. Guys.
Seerohrtiefe.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind auf Seerohrtiefe. Boot für Rundblick eingesteuert.
Tankers. Now the corvettes and destroyers. Cruiser. Battleship. Escort carrier. So which one would it be? Yeah, weird. They're not. Yeah, because this convoy is so close now.
Kriegsschiff, Peilung 295 Grad.
We can't increase our time acceleration. I still assume that they cannot detect us. I hope I'm right with that.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloy? Schraubengeräusche.
Oh fuck.
Schiffe, kleine Gruppe, Peilung 280 Grad.
Come on, they are closing in on me. I just wanted to avoid them. So have they spotted my smoke? Come on, they can't be that close, can they? Yeah, these guys are moving left and these guys are moving right. It's two different groups, so maybe this is I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, and I think in Brest you can't build submarine pens, so air shelters for the submarines. Or could you? I would guess you couldn't. Oh, you can? Okay, alright. But it's, yeah, a relatively small port, and it's pretty ugly to get into Brest. You have to go a long way through very shallow water into that inlet. No, Lagerovsky, so Hermann Göring was not actually successful with securing the skies, yeah, as we know from the movie. Yeah, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass to reach Brest. And there is a long path. Well, if you run into a heavy air raid on the way to the port, then in Brest, yeah, you got a bit of a problem. Or, well, say, much more of a problem than in other ports.
Ja?
Maybe I should change course and see if I get away from them for a bit and maybe save the game here once.
Schraubengeräusche. Handelsschiffe. Kleine Gruppe. Peilung 220 Grad. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Jawohl. Nicht darum.
Yeah, come on. Let's hope that we get away from them with like that. The captain has to get some sleep soon.
Jawohl.
Yeah, they are not actively following us.
Schraubengeräusche. Kriegsschiffe. Kleine Gruppe. Peilung 195 Grad.
Okay, obviously we lost the contact, which is good. time of the day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and by now it's getting foggy. I think I would just get back to the surface for now, give it a save. Yes,
Aktuelle Tiefe?
deck a wash first, so that means we do not blow all the ballast tanks, but just a few, which would give us a faster lead time to dive again if there's something up there which we wouldn't like.
Ja.
Yeah, get to the surface completely.
Endlich ein paar Stunden Pause.
Navigation besetzen.
Ja?
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Ich kümmere mich darum.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Jawohl, weiter geht's. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Bestätige.
Navigation besetzen.
By the way, let's not forget to check the galley.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Okay, fuel is at 40%, but that's, yeah, still more than enough that we need to get back home. Well, my favorite type of torpedo is the one with the most reliable pistol. In principle, I like both. I like the steam-powered as well as the electrically driven. And as I never use this automatism with the meandering torpedoes and everything, so I would best love just the bare torpedoes which go straight ahead, not doing any automatic meandering or something. And well, then the further you get into the game, the higher quality pistols you get. And I would, if I have to choose between an electrical torpedo and a steam-powered torpedo, I would actually choose not after steam or electric, but would take a look at who's got the most developed pistol. And well, then there is the sound-seeking torpedoes, the T5, the Soundkönig, and I don't quite like them. I usually put 2 of them into my stern torpedo tube and stern storage, because what they're good for is when you are suddenly being chased from astern by an escort, then you usually have very low chance. They have a very low cross-section when they are heading straight for you. So with a classical torpedo, you would never hit it. But, well, so with a snapshot from the hit with a T5 from the stern torpedo tube, you could often sink a man of war with this one P5. That is what I like the P5, the T5 for. But I would never put them into my 4 torpedo tubes anymore, because I had pretty bad experience that, yeah, they have problems with depth keeping, and that, like always, when I did hit a ship into the propeller with a T5, it said it was damaged, sometimes lightly damaged, usually only lightly damaged, and they just move on. So if you ask me for merchantmen, I would really not recommend to try the T5 torpedoes on merchantmen. And yeah, T1 with the best pistol. Yep. By the way, let's give it a save.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloy.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Natürlich, Herr Kaloy.
Yeah, always take care that you keep the navigation on a high percentage level.
Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 10 Grad.
Ooh. Could be an airplane. Go for periscope. Is it still there? Oh, we still have the snorkel up.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Yeah, come on. At the moment, I just want to get back home from that rather successful mission.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind auf Seerohrtiefe. Boot für Rundblick eingesteuert.
Now, Mr. Hinrich, do we hear anything?
Kleine Fahrt voraus.
Schraubengeräusche. Große Gruppe. Peilung 325 Grad.
Closing in.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Distance. Yeah, pretty far away still. So let's just get back to the surface
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
and go flank and see that we circumnavigate this convoy. Yeah, get down the snorkel for now. Ah, yes, I wanted to check the galley.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Herr Kapitän.
Kurs setzen. Kurs setzen. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Navigation besetzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 355 Grad. Alarm! Flugzeug in Sicht! Peilung 20
Auf
Grad!
maximal sichere Tiefe gehen.
Okay, airplane coming in. So guys, get the boat down.
Diesel besetzen.
Flying speed, please.
Zu Befehl, Herr Kommandant. Ich benötige etwas Unterstützung.
Verstanden, Herr Kommandant. Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Pilot?
Auf E-Motoren wechseln. Kurs setzen.
Okay, that was a plane coming in. Hey, aqua-icing. Yeah, well, I decided that that late in the war I would try to act a little bit more realistic.
45 Meter.
Yeah, with my bosun actually has pretty good skills with the guns, so I think he has pretty good chance to get them down. But yeah, since meanwhile they have these rockets and everything,
Aktuelle Tiefe
they could do quite some damage to us. By the way, how are you doing? Nice that you drop in, aqua-icing.
40 Grad.
Hope you're fine. And I hope you smoothly slipped into the weekend. Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine.
80 Meter.
Yeah, as I said yesterday, today I had a day off and we went back to my hometown, my wife and me. And there was this burial of an uncle of mine who died. I don't know, did I mention that yesterday?
Aktuelle Tiefe 100 Meter.
And yeah, I didn't have much contact. I think it's maybe 20 years ago that I actually saw him. And yeah, that let me feel pretty bad when I heard that he died. And
110 Meter.
yeah, his children, my cousins, I also completely lost track of them. And so it was a good thing to go there. Of course, it's a bit sad that just the death
Aktuelle Tiefe 125 Meter.
of their father actually brought us together again, but still it was quite nice and they were pretty happy. I think they were honestly happy to see that we took the effort to come along. And well, there is this, I don't know how you do it in other countries, but in Germany when there is a burial, usually after that you meet in a pub or in a cafe. And yeah, spent the afternoon talking, and that was nice, having nice talks with them
Aktuelle Tiefe
today.
150 Meter.
And yeah,
Kurs auf
so although it was a funeral, it was a good day. Yeah, sounds like a contradiction, but that it was actually. Well, and my uncle, he was 84 years old.
Meter.
By the way, now that we are down here, shall we do a little bit of bringing the boat to its edge again? I mean, depth-wise.
Meter.
So So I don't know what Mr. Hinrich is actually doing. So guys, go straight for 200 meters and
Tauchen auf.
then we see...
200 Meter.
Let's check, but it should still be pretty deep. It's 4,000 to 5,000 feet deep here.
Schraubengeräusche. Großer Konvoi. Peilung 195 Grad.
Yes, yeah, good point, Lagorovsky. That's also my attitude when they start having these rockets. You should be a little bit more careful. Yeah, weight loss. I think we can do it. I think we can do it
170
without
Meter.
too much risk. We already have a readiness of the boat of 30%. Let's see. By the way, how much water do we have in the bilge? A bit. So let's turn on the pump
Pumpe einschalten.
for now.
185 Meter.
No seabed to catch me exactly, yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't go full risk. I wouldn't go full risk here. Exactly for that
Eine
reason.
tiefer, 195 Meter.
Yeah, is there a probability that you, yeah, kind of by chance also catch a real hull breach?
200 Meter.
Okay, I never had that. I never had that. Interesting. Well, I did a save, so let's take the risk
220
and go for 220 meters. But in principle, you're right. In principle, one should not do what I do here. So, children watching this one, don't try this at home.
Tiefer, 205 Meter.
Don't try this at home when you don't have a seabed at, say, something like 260. Yeah, in principle, weight loss is perfectly right.
210 Meter.
So if I would play this game Iron Man mode, I would never do this, never take that risk that I do right now, I have to admit.
220 Meter.
Tauchen auf. 240 Meter.
I was that deep before.
Meter.
Mr. Schneider, what are you up to now?
Herr Kaloin.
235 Meter. Meter.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloin?
Yeah, the pump is almost useless at that depth because it has to go against all that pressure. So we still have 8% efficiency left of the pump against the outside water pressure.
Meter. Aktuelle Tiefe 240 Meter.
Okay, we have propeller contact still.
245 Meter.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
And there we have a leak. There is a leak. Mr. Schneider, if you were so kind,
Herr Kommandant.
and repair it. Yeah, flow rate is going down. This leak is not too bad. And each of these leaks, which I stuff, increases our readiness, or the readiness of the boat slightly. Yeah, this is a test dive. How much water do we accumulate?
Wassereinbruch in der Zentrale gestoppt.
Lenzpumpe einschalten.
So how fast do we get the water out? Not very fast, but it's still okay. I think I wouldn't go deeper than this. This is a depth where I went to several times already without getting a hull breach. But yeah, if the hull breach actually exists, I would expect that it's a statistical thing, right? Low probability, but it might happen. Yeah, low probability, high impact. So it would get a lot of risk prioritization points in the FMEA. Okay, alright, Lagorovsky, so have a good night. Maybe we're gonna see each other tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna stream tomorrow as well. Yeah, the more likely it gets, yep. So these mechanics are pretty nice. This is why I love the Deep Leaks mod so much. Yeah, Lagorovsky, so have a good night. Bye-bye. This is why I like this mod. Because these mechanics feel real good and realistic. So let's see. What was the readiness? It's still 30, so this one didn't change anything. And while we are doing this test diving down here, the planes are circling up there, running out of fuel and getting back home, hopefully. So that when we get back to the surface, we hopefully are left alone. Maximum pressure leak depth 360. So this is probably what you were referring to as the maximum depth, right? 360 with this setting. Yeah, I know you mentioned that you do have different settings there that you actually change the settings manually, right? I am on the type C. Is that the final one? Or is there one more? I think it's the final one, right? Ah, it has a test depth of even 200 meters. So shall we try? Shall we go a few meters deeper? No, it's 240. Let's go for 250.
Tauchen auf 250 Meter.
If I would have the type A, that would probably be another cup of tea.
Meter.
I like how the voices of the crew who sing out the depth sound more and more worried, or say at least slightly worried, when you get deeper and deeper.
Meter.
Okay, leak on board. What do we have in the toilet?
Zu Befehl, Herr Kommandant.
Meter.
So he is working on that.
Meter.
Yeah, Colin. Hi, nice to have you in. I think you're right. I just have it in the back of my mind that there is this one more type, yeah.
Wassereinbruch im Offiziersraum gestoppt.
Herr Kapitän?
So guys, get the water out of here into the center, where we are going to turn on the pump, although the pump should be more or less useless. We just have 2% of pump efficiency. Let's see what happens if I turn it on.
Pumpe einschalten.
Okay, it has at least a bit of an effect. Gets a bit of water out. And readiness 31%, okay. I think that should do it. Come on, guys. It is a bit unrealistic to have it that fast down here, right? Yeah, a bit weird. Bit weird. Yeah, if I have the patience, one day I'm gonna dive into the mod and you're gonna do some manual wiggling around with the parameters. Maybe it's about this manual trim pump modifier. I don't know. Yeah, nice. And so at that point we are gonna get back to the surface. Let's give it a save and go straight up.
Anblasen.
Relax, guys. You can step away from alarm. Let's stop direct orders. That's always a mistake, to blow the tanks down here. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Can I stop blowing the tank? It's a complete waste of compressed air pushing against all that pressure out there. You should first dynamically surface to lesser depth and then actually start to use the compressed air. Yeah, you're right. We could do that. Yeah, maybe we're gonna do that next time when we are in such a situation without enemy ships dropping depth charges upon our heads. Let's carry on for now, but good point. I actually should do that. Should have done that much earlier, maybe. Well, in my next walkthrough, when we finished this one, walk through the wall, we are gonna start a new one, and then we could do this earlier, finding out the sea wolves. And yeah, also then I will make a list of mods and decide which mods I'm gonna install for the next walkthrough, playthrough through the wall.
175 Meter.
See, we just have 88% of water in the ballast tanks. Well, if it would be physically correct, then now we have put some of the compressed air into the ballast tanks, but the compressed air stayed compressed there because it had to push against all that water pressure. And now this compressed air in the ballast tank should expand when we get closer to the surface. That would be real physics. And push the water out then. But we will see. I'm not 100% sure if this mechanic is actually reproduced in the game. I hope I explained it in a way that you could see what I mean.
110 Meter.
So at least
90 Meter.
somehow they seem to have that effect because, yeah, the amount of water in the ballast tank is at the moment getting less, although we are not having the valves open. We are not letting new compressed air into the tank, and still Yeah, it looks like this effect is partially heated in the game. The compressed air is expanding and pushing more water out. And now you say at 50 they would. Yeah, maybe that's not even necessary. I think it's just the compressed air that we pushed into the ballast tank at the at the deep depths now expands and pushes the water out. That I never actually looked at it in that detail before, but quite like it. Quite like it. That feels like physics, yeah. Yeah, meanwhile, we have a bit of a rough sea up here, but, well, don't think that the planes are still around.
Äußerste Kraft voraus. Navigation besetzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloi.
Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 220 Grad.
220 degrees. Be somewhere there. Yeah, they didn't. Exactly, they didn't, obviously, and still this effect took place. That this compressed air, which was caught up in the ballast tank, expanded and pushed the water out. That's beautiful to see these mechanics work. That's definitely planes passing there in the north. Just wonder if they recognize us. Maybe they're just passing by without having spotted us. Okay, interrupted radio transmission, whatever that meant. But at the moment, it looks like the contact is gone.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 150 Grad.
150 degrees. Somewhere there. Yeah, a lot of air traffic this late in the war. Okay.
155 Grad.
Auf maximal sichere Tiefe gehen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Verstanden. Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Herr Kapitän?
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. Sicher ist sicher,
25 Meter.
like one would say in German. So we don't
45
need
Meter.
to go to the full depth. It's perfectly fine to just go for
Tauchen auf.
something like 50 meters. Of course, we are going to overshoot now dramatically, probably. And this is also nicely done in the game, that there is this inertia. When we have once told the crew to bring the boat down to 150 meters and then say no, better go for 50, that the whole thing has this inertia and just overshoots like that. That feels really realistic.
70 Meter.
Airplanes up there.
60 Meter.
Don't think that they actually did detect us. By the way, we have still a bit more than 30% of fuel left.
Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter. Meter.
Folgen Sie mir.
Alles klar, ich werde mich darum kümmern.
Meter.
Tauchen auf 20 Meter.
Meter.
Aktuelle Tiefe 20 Meter.
Yeah, like Isley would say, my extended periscope. So let's go for deck wash again.
Meter.
Alarm beenden.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloin, wir sind aufgetaucht. Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 235 Grad.
So could I send the captain on the bridge for observation while we are only deck awash? Obviously I couldn't. Alright, so let's get to the surface completely. of water, so somebody please
Lenzpumpe einschalten.
turn on the pump.
Ja.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Kondensstreifen.
Oh.
Peilung 60 Grad. Auf maximal Tiefe gehen.
60 degrees. Contrails. So guys, please bring the boat down quickly.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
No radar signal. I've got the contrails, but no radar signal. That's weird.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
Motoren wechseln. Tauchen auf 30 Meter. Meter.
Wow, we are really running
50 Meter.
low on fuel. Maybe I should switch back to
Halbe Fahrt voraus.
cruise speed.
Meter.
40 Meter.
Come on, guys. Yeah, you can step away from battle stations for now.
35 Meter.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Meter.
Vorfluten.
Yes. Let's go deck a wash again.
Meter.
So fingers crossed that they're not still waiting there, but we let some time pass.
Motorenwechsel.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
So for whatever reason now it was available to have the captain on the bridge.
Anblasen.
So let's finally clear the remaining ballast tanks and get fully surfaced.
Kurs setzen.
Oops, what do we have now? Tuberculosis. Rumors of Konrad Otto's worsening condition has reached Joachim Lambrecht, the captain. May. Crewmates whispered of a relentless cough, a fever that he refused to break, and blood staining on his handkerchiefs. The officer's rudimentary medical training painted a grim picture of tuberculosis. So, okay, the danger is not imminent and we should be able to complete any remaining orders before heading back home. Konrad Otto will be unavailable to work and may get better only on land. Crew experience will be increased by 200 points. Alright. So, only thing that I find a bit... I mean, I like these in events, and I didn't have any of these random events for a long, long time. Only thing about the tuberculosis is that I think it's very contagious, so it should spread in the boat, but, well, luckily it doesn't. Yes. So let's give it a save. And continue with time acceleration. Oh, by the way, we can have a look at the crew. So I think we do have one active crew member less, Mr. Konrad Otto is discipline specialist, and he's one of these crewmates who actually do have experience, gained experience. That's the prisoners, yeah. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna lose that guy. At the moment he's not working, so let's see, we should see him somewhere in a bunk.
Herr Kaloy?
Who of them guys actually is Mr. Otto? Okay, it's him probably. Yeah, they can go, and it does absolutely nothing. Somehow I had in the back of my mind that you could promote them to be officers, but I never found that function again. Or, well, I imagined that I saw that you could do that, but here you can't, right? You really can't. It would only make sense if you could actually promote these guys then to become an officer. How can you do that? Yeah, I mean, if you promote them to an officer, then my thought was when you have a level 4 sailor and you promote him to an officer, that you then have 4 skill points to spend. Ah, okay, all right, good point, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure as well. I never tried it, but that was kind of my hope. And so this is one of these features I would love if they would offer less officers in the game, and if you would really need to rely on promoting officers out of your crew. But I mean, in the current game you get so many officers as a reward that you have much more officers than you could ever spend or kill on your boat. On we go.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Radio transmission again.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Yeah, nighttime. Beautiful stars. By the way, talking about stars, did anybody watch the partial, how do you call it? Partial eclipse of the sun 2 days ago? We actually did. My wife and me, and yeah, we forced our son to join us. And so we spent that evening until sunset. And one guy we know, he brought his telescope. And yeah, he used the telescope to do some kind of projection on a sheet of paper. So there we could actually see it happen. Oh, hey, why don't I have... What's... Oh shit, I had that before. So there is this HUD display of the offices. And why don't I have it here anymore? Did I press... Oh no, there it is again. Just a bug. Yeah, Colin, I think I like that concept. This is something that you might do if you have able crew members who actually might do the job. You could do that, some kind of a field promotion. Yeah, probably you wouldn't call it field promotion on the ship. Yes, I wanted to give it another save now that we are closing in. High risk, or say increasing risk of getting one of these enormous air raids upon you. intelligence. Radio officer missing. Ah, come on now.
Funkraum besetzen.
Do they give me a new order now? Something like intercept that convoy or something.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Please not. Please leave me alone with that.
Funktelegramm gesendet.
No, okay, it was just this one. So you can turn in again.
Navigation besetzen.
Herr Kaloi, wir befinden uns in flachen Gewässern.
Yep. Too much cloud. Yeah, that's a pity. That's a pity. Yeah, but you would have had it there. Yeah, I wasn't sure because I heard that in Spain, southern Spain, it would even be a full eclipse. And with us, it was a partial one. So I wasn't sure that maybe further north, if you would have one at all. But you did have. Probably it was a bit less overlapping than further north. Yeah, but yeah, if you had overcast sky, it wouldn't matter anyway. Yeah, I think these partial eclipses, they are not that rare. And I'm not sure. I think I heard it's not too long until we get a next one. Still be 20% or something in Scotland, yeah. So it's morning, 7 o'clock. We are approaching the port. Early morning, and there we go. Let's just keep fingers crossed that we don't run into any of these gigantic air raids. And look at that! I love it how they actually simulate the port. And there we go. Let's just give it another save here. Better safe than sorry. Oh yeah, we should speed down a bit. And there we go, into the lock. Lock door opens. And like usual, probably our stern gets hit by the closing lock door again. That's kind of buggy, isn't it? But I think we never get any damage from that. There we go. That was a long and eventful patrol. I mean, not that much long in terms of in-game time, but it took us something like 3 or 4 streams to go through that campaign. Yeah, so no view. Yeah, Colin, same for me. So where did you go to see the eclipse? Or, I mean, I think, or I would guess it was not total in Scotland, was it? It was total in southern Germany. So back then, my father and me, we went by car something like 200 kilometers further south. And yeah, we rented a room there. Well, my father did. And we rented a room there. And yeah, then went out in the morning and then had a beautiful event with the eclipse. It was slightly overcast, so finally we could still see the eclipse through the clouds, because the clouds actually worked like a screen. And we were in a wonderful position.
Auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Okay, Konrad Otto was taken to the sanatorium. Alright, so we have one crewmate left. And back then we had a wonderful watching position. So I think I had already been talking about that before, right? So we had that view over the whole large valley. And then we saw that shadow coming, racing towards us across that valley. It was pretty impressive. Yeah, so Colin, I think it was partial in Scotland. It was a total eclipse in Cornwall. Okay, so yeah. So did you go there? So, mission complete. Okay, Mr. Schulz contributed in sinking the tribal class destroyer. Nice. Then us, the captain, we contributed in sinking a lot of ships. And we finished the first level of The Last Stand. Well done. And you see, we are already gaining towards the 100,000 tons that we need for the second level. One. Convoy attacked. One ship. No, okay, not quite clear, but so we can take a look here and see that we sank a C3, a Liberty, and Nikola Tesla is C3, another C3, so 4 freighters and 1 destroyer. And yeah, we only didn't fulfill this part here, but I can live with it. So here we are. First action, let's release. Let's release
Herr
our
Kommandant,
prisoners.
gut, Sie wiederzusehen.
Wow, that's
Was führt Sie zu mir?
pretty noisy.
Sehr gut. Gute Jagd da draußen, Herr Kommandant. Wegtreten.
Guten Tag, Herr Kommandant. Einige Männer verstanden. Ich werde sie umgehend registrieren.
Okay, we still get reputation for these ones, for the non-officers, but no money anymore. So let's free the officers and the crew just as well. Here we are. And here we see we have 1 sailor less, because Otto was carried to the hospital.
Sonst noch etwas, Herr Kommandant? Sehr gut, Herr Kommandant. Kommen Sie jederzeit zu mir, wenn Sie...
Okay, that was it. So, in this classical view here we have the crew, and now these are all these officers that I have as a backup. And where comes the crew? Here comes the crew. Starting with Mr. Vogel. So Konrad Otto was taken out of the roster. And instead, let's insert here Mr. Kos. Check him. So now we have to replace Konrad. Is it Konrad Otto? Yeah. We have to replace Konrad Otto by Walter Kos in the squads. Here, Konrad Otto. Get him out and add Walter Kos. So if you have this incorrect, if you have a sailor still in the list here which died or went off board, you really get some trouble. That gives the complete chaos then. Is at least my experience. So here we are back in port. Discipline, we have one level 1 fatigue, which is perfectly fine. Time for a new boat. I think I would like to wait. I would like to wait until we have reached this level here. And when we have that boat upgrade point, I think I would go right for the second type, type 9. Yeah, we still need something like 20,000 tons, a bit more. Okay, guys. If I look at the time, it's 2:30. So although it's Friday, I think I'm gonna turn in. So yeah, I am actually a bit tired. I have to admit, I spent something like, what was it? 5 hours in the car today, the way to and back to my hometown and back from my hometown. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna turn in now. So thank you guys for joining my company. Like usual, it was a pleasure. Weight loss, great to have you. Colin, same for you. Aqua icing, great that you dropped in. From Canada, yeah. So we have Germany, Scotland, Canada. And Lagerovsky, up to now, I'm not quite sure where Lagerovsky comes from. You don't have to tell, but of course I'm always a bit curious about that. But nevertheless, wherever you come from, it was a pleasure to have you in. I think he said he went to bed, right? So he wouldn't hear us anymore. Not quite sure where he comes from. Is he German? I don't know. So guys, was a pleasure. And looking forward to see you again tomorrow. Yeah, schlaf gut. And see you then. Bye bye.